My ex-wife cheated with her rich boss, left me and our son, then got pregnant. When I inherited millions, she came back begging me to claim her baby and pretend we're a family again. Hey dear viewers, if you enjoyed the video, you can like it and subscribe to the channel. 6 months ago, my life collapsed so quietly that most people didn't even notice. There was no screaming, no dramatic exits, no public scene. Just a woman I thought I knew, sitting across from me at the kitchen table, papers already printed, eyes already somewhere else. By the time she told me she was sleeping with her boss, she had already decided I was done. I just hadn't caught up yet. My ex-wife, Olivia, and I had been together for 3 years, married for 1.5. We had a 1-year-old son. From the outside, it probably looked like a solid life. I was an oncologist. Long hours, yes, but stable, respected, comfortable. We owned a home. We had routines. We had plans. At least I thought we did. Looking back, the signs were always there. Olivia liked nice things, expensive restaurants, designer bags, the kind of lifestyle that looks good in photos. I never thought that made her a bad person. I thought it just meant she liked comfort. I liked providing stability. I believed those two things could coexist. What I didn't understand at the time was that stability was never enough for her. She didn't want peace. She wanted elevation, status, the feeling of being chosen by someone important. Her boss, Samuel, was everything I wasn't. 42, owner of the company she worked for. Real money, the kind of money you don't talk about because you don't need to. I knew they were close. I trusted her. I trusted us. I never once thought he was a threat. I was wrong. When she told me about the affair, she didn't cry. She didn't hesitate. She didn't ask if we could fix things. She told me Samuel was ready to commit, that he wanted to marry her, that he could give her the life she deserved. She said it calmly, like she was explaining a promotion she'd accepted. The divorce papers were already prepared. She said the only reason she hadn't left earlier was because she wasn't sure Samuel would fully commit. Once he did, she didn't see the point in staying married to me, or raising our son together. That part still messes with my head. I can understand someone falling out of love with a partner. I'll never understand how a mother walks away from her child without looking back. She didn't ask for custody. She didn't ask for visitation. She didn't ask how he was doing. She just left. I fought for full custody. She didn't contest it. She didn't contest anything. House, assets, savings. She walked away because, in her mind, she was upgrading. She didn't need any of it anymore. I got everything. And I would have given it all back if it meant my son had a mother who actually wanted him. The months after the divorce were brutal, not in a dramatic way, in the quiet way that eats at you. I worked, I parented, I slept when I could. I didn't date. I didn't talk about her. I told myself that healing meant moving forward, not looking back. Friends told me I was better off. That I dodged a bullet. I nodded. I smiled. But at night, when my son was asleep and the house was quiet, I still replayed everything in my head. Wondered what I missed. Wondered if I could have done something differently. Then my uncle died. He was a self-made real estate developer. Never married. No kids. We were close, but I never expected what came next. When the lawyer called me in, I assumed it was paperwork. Formalities. Instead, I was told I was the sole heir. Everything. Properties. Accounts. The company itself. The estate was still being evaluated, but even conservatively, it was well over $2 million. Probably much more, once everything settled. I didn't celebrate. I didn't tell many people. I told a few close friends over dinner, mostly because I needed someone to talk to. I didn't realize one of those conversations would make its way back to Olivia. The very next day, she showed up at my house. 6 months of silence. Then suddenly, she was standing on my porch, visibly pregnant, acting like she had every right to be there. For a second, I considered not opening the door. But something told me this wasn't a coincidence. People like Olivia don't show up without a reason. I let her in. She tried small talk, asked how I was doing, commented on the house, avoided looking at photos of our son on the wall. Then she congratulated me on my inheritance. That's when everything clicked. I kept my responses short, polite, controlled. When she finally asked about our son, something in me snapped, not because I didn't want to talk about him, but because she suddenly pretended to care. I told her to get to the point. She said she wanted to talk about the new addition to our family. I stared at her, trying to understand what game she was playing. As far as I knew, she was pregnant with Samuel's child. She had been confident about that when she left. I hadn't questioned it. Frankly, I didn't care. Then she said something that made my stomach drop. She wanted my name on the baby's birth certificate. She said it would be better if both her children had the same last name, that it would help them bond, that it would be easier for everyone. It took me a moment to even process what she was asking. Then I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was so transparently calculated. She already knew about the inheritance. She knew I was suddenly worth more than Samuel. And now she wanted security, a safety net, a way back in. I told her no, flatly, clearly. She didn't leave. She kept talking, kept reframing it as concern for the children, kept pretending she was thinking like a mother. The same woman who hadn't checked on her son once in 6 months. I told her the only way I'd even consider anything was if a paternity test proved the baby was mine. Otherwise, the conversation was over. That's when she got angry. Accused me of being selfish, of punishing her, of trying to control her life. When that didn't work, she started yelling. I told her to leave or I'd call the police. She left, and the moment the door closed, I knew something was far from over. After Olivia left that day, the house felt heavier than it had in months. Not sad, not empty, just tense, like something unfinished was sitting in the air waiting to explode. I didn't regret laughing in her face. If anything, I regretted letting her in at all. But what she'd tried to do kept replaying in my head, not the audacity of it, but the calculation. She hadn't come back because she missed me. She hadn't come back because she missed our son. She came back because the numbers had changed. That realization stripped away the last layer of illusion I had left about her. For days after that visit, she didn't stop. Messages through mutual friends. Vague posts online about betrayal, bitterness, jealousy. She didn't name me, but she didn't have to. Anyone who knew us knew exactly who she was talking about. According to her new version of reality, I was an insecure ex-husband who couldn't handle her success. A man bitter that she'd moved on to someone richer, someone more present. It would have been laughable if it wasn't so calculated. What she didn't expect was that I wasn't interested in defending myself publicly. I wasn't trying to win a popularity contest. I didn't comment. I didn't react. I blocked where necessary and focused on my son, my work, and keeping my life quiet. That silence drove her crazy. A week after her visit, I did something I hadn't planned on doing at all. I emailed Samuel. I didn't insult him. I didn't threaten him. I didn't exaggerate. I laid out exactly what had happened, that Olivia had come to my house, that she knew about the inheritance, that she wanted my name on the baby's birth certificate regardless of paternity, that she framed it as being best for the kids. I told him I declined, and that he deserved to know what she was doing behind his back. I didn't expect a reply. I didn't get one, but I did get results. Within days, the tone of Olivia's online presence changed. The posts became angrier, more desperate, less polished. Friends started reaching out quietly, asking if everything was okay, asking if the rumors were true. I didn't confirm anything. I didn't deny anything. I just said I was focused on my son. Behind the scenes, things were clearly falling apart for her. She started messaging my friends directly, trying to get them to talk sense into me, trying to rewrite the story. According to her, she'd only come to my house to see our son. According to her, I'd refused. According to her, I was trying to sabotage her relationship out of jealousy. None of it held up. The people who mattered knew the truth, and the people who didn't matter. Then one afternoon, she showed up again. This time, my son was home. The moment I saw her car in the driveway, my stomach dropped. Not because I was afraid of her, but because I didn't want my son caught in the middle of whatever she was about to pull. I told her to leave. She refused. She reminded me she still technically had visitation rights. She was right. I let her in. Against every instinct I had, she acted like nothing was wrong. Like she hadn't spent the last week dragging my name online. She focused entirely on our son, smiling too wide, touching his hair like she was trying to remember how to be his mother. He was confused at first, then polite, then distant. Children know more than we give them credit for. I watched them from across the room, saying nothing. Near the end of the visit, I noticed something that set off alarms. She started taking videos, short clips, smiling moments, little interactions, framing them carefully. When I told her I didn't want our son posted online, she said the videos were just for her, in case I miss him. I didn't argue. I just watched. After she left, I called my lawyer. We talked through everything. Her visit, her demand, the social media posts, the birth certificate request. He didn't hesitate. He told me we needed to file for supervised visitation. Not to punish her, but to protect my son from instability, from disappearing and reappearing when it suited her narrative. I agreed. But before anything could be filed, something else happened. 2 days later, Olivia showed up again. This time, she wasn't alone. She brought a lawyer. She handed me paperwork and told me she was voluntarily giving up custody of our son. No fight, no tears, no negotiation, just done. She said it was in his best interest, that she didn't feel connected to him, that after spending time with him, she realized he'd be better off with one parent, me. She said she was about to have another baby and needed to focus on that. I didn't argue. I didn't beg her to reconsider. If she didn't want to be a mother, I wasn't going to force her. A resentful parent is worse than an absent one. Still, watching her sign away her rights felt surreal, like I was witnessing someone amputate a part of their own life without flinching. Before she left, I asked one question. Did she know who the baby's father was? She said she'd already decided to wait until after the birth for a test. She said if the baby turned out to be mine, we'd figure something out. Until then, she didn't want contact. I told her that was fine. A week later, I finally heard from Samuel. He apologized. Then he told me everything. They'd already done a paternity test weeks earlier. The baby wasn't mine. It was his. Olivia had known that when she came to my house, when she asked me to sign the birth certificate, when she talked about last names and bonding and family. That was the moment Samuel ended things. He told me she'd lied to him too, that she tried to convince him her visit to my house was about our son, that I was blocking access, that I was bitter. But the timeline didn't make sense, and when he pressed, the story fell apart. He asked her to leave. That's when the videos made sense. She'd been collecting evidence, not memories. Proof. props to support her version of events. Samuel told me he was done, that he couldn't trust her, that the engagement was off, that they'd co-parent their child, but that was it. When I hung up the phone, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Closure. Not revenge. Not satisfaction. Just clarity. By the time Samuel told me the truth, I didn't feel angry anymore. I didn't feel victorious either. What I felt was relief. The kind that comes when a knot you didn't even realize you were carrying finally loosens. For months, everything had felt unresolved, like I was constantly bracing for the next hit. That phone call ended it. Not with drama, with clarity. Olivia stopped posting about me after that. Completely. One day she was loud, frantic, desperate for attention. The next, silent. Friends told me she'd moved back in with her parents, that Samuel didn't want her living with him anymore, that the engagement was officially over. I didn't ask for details. I didn't need them. The custody paperwork went through faster than I expected. Full legal and physical custody of my son. No appeals. No objections. The judge barely had questions. When someone willingly walks away, there isn't much to argue. That night, after everything was finalized, I put my son to bed and sat alone in the living room. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt grounded. For the first time since the divorce, my future felt predictable again. Not exciting, not dramatic, just stable. And I realized that was exactly what I wanted. A few weeks later, Samuel emailed me one last time. He told me they'd confirmed the paternity. The baby was his. Olivia had known long before she came to see me. He said that was the moment he truly understood who she was. He wasn't asking for forgiveness. He just wanted me to know the truth. I replied with one sentence. Thanks for telling me. I wish you luck with your child. And I meant it. I didn't block Olivia out of spite. I blocked her because there was nothing left to say. I didn't need closure from her. Her actions had already said everything. When someone shows you exactly who they are, believing them is the kindest thing you can do for yourself. My inheritance finalized shortly after that. The numbers were real. The responsibility was real. But the money didn't change me. It just removed fear. I kept my job. I kept my routine. I started donating quietly. Hospitals, pediatric cancer research, causes that actually mattered. I took my son on a vacation a month later. Nothing extravagant. Just a quiet beach town. Mornings walking by the water. Evenings watching him laugh at things that didn't matter. I realized then that I hadn't lost a family. I'd protected one. Every now and then, someone asks if I regret not exposing Olivia publicly, not posting receipts, not humiliating her the way she tried to humiliate me. The answer is no. Life did that on its own. I didn't need to be involved. The real consequence wasn't losing money or relationships. It was losing access to me, to our son, to the life she thought she could come back to when circumstances changed. She gambled on the wrong future. I didn't win because I inherited money. I didn't win because her relationship failed. I won because when everything collapsed, I chose stability over chaos, truth over fantasy, responsibility over image, and most importantly, I chose my child. Some stories don't end with revenge. They end with peace. And sometimes that's the strongest ending of all.